Now at 9, a look at the impact wounded JPD officer Rick Hershey left at a local school where he was serving as resource officer.
The Biden administration is touting the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan 1 year after the president signed it into law. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with what they're saying coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. 2 officers killed in a line of duty, 1 seriously injured. A community left in mourning. Last week's tragic events hit the Joplin community hard, the whole 4-state area hard for that matter. It's also hit close to the home for the staff and students at Eastmoreland Elementary. KOM's Chris Warner has this story.
The events of last week have had a deep impact on Eastmoreland Elementary in Joplin. The scene of the second shooting at 9th and Connecticut was in Eastmoreland's attendance area. The school had to develop alternative plans to get students home safely that afternoon. But it's hit closer to home with the school. Officer Rick Hershey, who was seriously injured, spent the last 15 years as Eastmoreland's school resource officer.
It's been hard to take this information, but we know that he will recover, and he is a strong man.
Officer Hershey stepped down from the SRO position at the end of the last school year. Principal Heather Serbrug says his impact on the school was significant.
Just working with the students was definitely his sweet spot. He has such a huge heart for kids of all ages, and he wants them to be successful and wonderful citizens, and he strove so hard to make sure that happened, and his connections and relationships with our students was just fantastic.
Because he was the SRO up until last year, many current students are aware of what's happened to their beloved friend, and Serbrug says that's been one of the tougher parts of pushing through the past several days.
Honestly, we've just tried to take a positive spin that he was serving, and that is what they're called to do, and just that we're maintaining our thoughts with him and his precious family and the entire JPD.
The news of what happened to Officer Hershey has taken a toll on staff as well.
It just absolutely made me sick to my stomach with concern and wanted, I don't know, we just wanted to take his pain away.
Officer Hershey was instrumental in getting the Rise Above program started at Eastmoreland. 5th grade teacher Kyle Graves worked closely with Officer Hershey in that program, which was aimed at teaching students how to avoid dangerous situations like drugs and alcohol. Graves says it was Hershey's connection to the students that made the biggest difference.
I've never seen anything like it. Officer Hershey could enter a room, kids start smiling, and they're up out of their seat before I can even give them a chance to, tell everybody, let's continue to have a seat. They were super excited to see him.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Serbrug says Eastmoreland is collecting coins for cops, a fundraiser to provide a meal to the Joplin Police Department. She adds any money left over is going to be donated to the officers' families and also to JPD. People inside Joplin's North Park Mall can help Officer Hershey by donating blood. You can stop by the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks inside the mall as part of the Blood Center's Unite Joplin Blood Drive. The Community Blood Center of the Ozarks is donating $5 per blood donation to JPD's Benevolence Fund.
We wish this need never occurred, but when these things happen, we are so proud of our donor base. They are so dedicated to the patients that we serve. Community Blood Center's job is to serve 44 local hospitals.
The Unite Joplin Blood Drive lasts until the end of Friday. Public visitation happened tonight for the body of Corporal Ben Cooper, who was killed in last Tuesday's shooting. The public was allowed to pay their respects to Corporal Cooper at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center at MSSU until 8 tonight. The funeral will be at 1 tomorrow at the same location. Corporal Cooper was 46. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe has ordered all flags to fly at half-staff tomorrow from sunrise to sunset at all government buildings in both Jasper and Newton counties. Funeral services will also take place this week for Officer Jake Reed, killed in the same encounter. These services will also be at the Leggett and Platt Center. Visitation will be on Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. The funeral will be on Friday at 1. Officer Reed was 27. All All right, meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now. Windy day today, Nick.
Yeah, ahead of a storm system that's actually passing through as we speak, Jordan. It brought a lot of clouds today, but despite that, we were able to end the day with a bit of a mild note. 61 at Joplin, for example, after we started at 47 degrees. We kept things dry throughout much of the day, but we've been seeing the radar come to life with these just light scattered showers only for parts of the area. Again, it's all due to a front at the surface coming in and this upper low coming out of Kansas and Oklahoma. We're just going to hold on to these chances for scattered showers during the overnight, and I think they'll be out of here by the start of the morning drive. Then we'll go from 48 and mostly cloudy during the morning to some returning partly sunny skies and highs back near 63 tomorrow, Jordan. I've got another system I'm tracking, though, later on. We'll break down the full forecast here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thanks as always. A Lawrence County, Missouri judge sentences 2 more suspects in a kidnapping and murder case. Authorities say Andrew Seipert of Billings and Lyle DeLong of Stott City were 2 of 9 suspects involved in the kidnapping of 2 women and the murder of 1, Sarah Pascoe, back in August of 2020. Seipert and DeLong both pled guilty to charges of second-degree murder and kidnapping. The judge sentenced them both to 32 years in prison. 4 other suspects in this case have already been sentenced. You can learn more about those sentences and the case on our website. That's KOAMnewsNow.com. 2 people are dead after a crash early today in southeast Kansas. It happened around 6:30 this morning on U-169, about a mile east of Humboldt. Kansas Highway Patrol says 2 pickup trucks hit head-on. Both drivers passed away at the scene. They were 62-year-old Gordon Lane of Ottawa, Kansas, also 45-year-old Jamie Lynn Ellis of Iola, Kansas. 2 occupants of the Ellis vehicle, an adult and 6-year-old child, were taken to the hospital for suspected serious injuries. Well, Missourians are being encouraged to save those gas receipts so they can apply for a refund on the state's fuel tax later this year. Last October, the state increased its fuel tax from 17 cents per gallon to 19.5 cents per gallon. The Department of Revenue says residents can submit a claim for a refund on that additional 2.5 cents per gallon. The refund covers purchases made after October 1st of last year. You can apply from July 1st through September 30th.
The receipt will have most of the information on it, but not all. You need to have the VIN number for the vehicle that it went into. You need the date purchased and the seller of the gasoline, the number of gallons that the tax was collected on.
The department is working to create an online system for residents to file those refund claims. Well, the Biden administration is reflecting on the impact the American Rescue Plan has had on the economy 1 year after being signed into law. Democrats believe it's a key accomplishment during President Biden's first year in office. Republicans, though, believe it's significantly contributed to the rise in inflation. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has a closer look now from Washington.
At risk of losing their majorities in the House and the Senate, Democrats are working furiously to frame their message ahead of the 2022 midterm elections. At the Democratic National Committee winter meeting over the weekend, Vice President Kamala Harris urged members to focus on the positives.
Our task is to show people that in many ways they got what they ordered.
Democrats tout serving up the American Rescue Plan, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package last year. On Monday, the Biden administration also awarded more than $400 million for transit projects in 39 states, made possible, they say, by the bipartisan infrastructure bill.
It's only the beginning. Hundreds of billions of new investments are on the way.
But Democrats are facing several challenges, with the Build Back Better bill and voting rights legislation stalled. And higher prices on nearly everything from groceries to gas are threatening to sink their prospects in November. Republicans pinning inflation on massive spending under Democratic leadership.
You can't force this much money into the economy without causing inflation. It's just unbelievable.
They say all of it building appetite for change just 8 months from now.
We'll come back very strong.
A key report measuring wholesale inflation is due out this week. Economists predict another spike in the Producer Price Index, already up 9.7% compared to a year ago. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Ukrainian and Russian officials continue talks. The discussion is coming as Russia ramps up its attacks on civilians. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more.
Russian military forces are targeting the suburbs of Kyiv as they set their sights on the Ukrainian capital city. Ukrainian and Russian negotiators held another round of talks on Monday, but they hit pause and plan to meet again Tuesday.
We need to stand strong and fight in order to win and reach the peace Ukrainians deserve, an honest peace with security guarantees.
The talks come as Russia ramps up its attacks on civilian areas. An airstrike destroyed this residential building in Kharkiv, while just north of Kyiv, artillery fire killed at least 2 people.
They increased the level of war and violence against civilians, but they've made absolutely no territorial gains against the Ukrainian military over the weekend.
In southeastern Ukraine, people began to leave the port city of Mariupol along a humanitarian route. Red Cross officials warned the situation there has become desperate.
When we look at the devastation, when we look at how some neighborhoods are looking like today, it is really frightening, and it tells a lot about a situation that is nothing short of a nightmare.
All this as the number of Ukrainian refugees climbs, more than 2.8 million fleeing to neighboring countries.
First thing they're asking while crossing the border is, please tell me that there are no shootings here, please tell me that there are no bombings.
In just over 2 weeks, more than 1.7 million of those refugees have crossed over into Poland. In Tarnow, Poland, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another 4-state hero. Bobby White served in the U.S. Army from 1972 to 75. Native of Joplin, White earned several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Bobby White. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast and later. Pitt State aiming for the sweep against Northwest Missouri. Highlights in sports.
It's been relatively dry for a good portion of this day, but our next storm system really made its appearance earlier today with plenty of cloud cover, having a bit of an impact on temperatures. In fact, we had temperatures yesterday pushing into the mid-60s. That felt pretty good to wrap up this weekend. That being said, though, we only dropped back into the upper 40s this morning because that south wind really kept on going. And despite the increase in the clouds, we did see Joplin Regional top out in the lower 60s this afternoon, right at about 61 degrees. Again, a little bit cooler because of the increase in cloud cover, certainly compared to the other day, but we kept things dry for a good portion of the day until we got this evening underway. That's where we had just enough moisture and just enough lift coming in with this current storm system that all that we're really getting out of this, thankfully, is just some light and very scattered showers. In fact, even like the strongest returns that you can see on the board is in southwestern Missouri, but just passing around Sarcoxy, falling apart as they work near Stockton Lake. This is going to be just a general trend as we go throughout the rest of the night ahead of us. Just these random light showers, not a big deal. That has led to at least a little bit of wet roads, the 7th and range line there. Otherwise, Joplin, you're dry for now. Turning chilly, though, sitting at 55 with an east breeze at 3. Everybody seeing temperatures drop back either near 50 or into the mid-50s on the warmer end of things. And we're going to see temperatures turn a bit cooler tonight because we're about to get on the backside of this system where we got northerly winds coming out of central and western parts of Kansas. For us, though, we just have a light breeze in place temporarily out of the east-southeast at about 3 to 5 miles per hour. Here's the big picture, though. You can see where the main action has been throughout the course of the evening. The severe weather working across the eastern parts of Texas. They have the better setup for better rain and thunderstorm chances down there, but we still have our slight chances for rain with this front passing through, and the same goes for the upper wave working across Kansas and Oklahoma. That being said, both of these are still working together, so we're not going to rule out some more. Just very scattered light showers throughout the course of the night, and I really think they'll be done by the time we get the morning drive underway, with most of us dropping back into the 40s. As we go throughout tomorrow, though, I do think we'll get some partly sunny skies back. Now, if we clear out faster and see more in the way of mostly sunny skies, we could certainly push into the mid-60s for highs. But with the way I'm seeing things, I'm going to say 48 in the morning in Joplin, 57 by noon, pushing afternoon highs to about 63. Fast forward through tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, we're back in the mid to upper 40s, and then looking good for Wednesday, mostly sunny and pushing back in near 71 for Wednesday afternoon. This isn't the only system I'm watching, though. Here comes the next system in Doug's pattern with maybe some isolated thunderstorms late on St. Patrick's Day. But as the system overhead passes through, this is going to be mainly rain, but there are just some few indications that enough cold air could try to mix in a few snowflakes. I'm not completely buying that yet, so for now I'm going to keep it all rain, but it is something we're still watching because it is going to turn a little bit cooler by Friday. Let's go 63 tomorrow, 71 Wednesday and Thursday, with the next chance for better rain and storms late Thursday into Friday. But once we get past chilly Friday, Jordan, or a chilly Friday, we'll be back in the 60s to kick off spring this weekend.
Good overall. Good overall. Yeah. Mike Kelly, thank you. Coming up, look at how the Russia-Ukraine war is specifically impacting children in Ukraine. The Russian attacks on Ukraine causing life-changing consequences on the children of the embattled nation. Fox News State Department correspondent Benjamin Hall is in Kiev with this story, and we do want to warn you, his report contains images some may find disturbing.
Trying to keep their hopes alive, these young girls sing to each other in the Children's Hospital of Kiev. They have all seen tragedy, but their resilience shines through. Others are not so lucky. This boy died on the way in, and his body now lies in a dark corner, waiting to be picked up. As Putin's attacks become more indiscriminate, children are increasingly caught in the middle. More are wounded every day, and more families torn apart. Vova is 8 years old and was brought in badly injured. His family's car was attacked as they tried to flee the city, and his father was killed in front of him. His mother can barely handle the pain.
It's hard to live without him. We'd been together for 15 years. Nobody ever said a bad word about him.
Vova knows his father is dead, but still wakes up and sees him in the room. His mother says even at this young age, he wants revenge.
He understands everything. He says when he gets better, he will go with his grandpa and shoot Russians.
Milana is 6 years old and her legs are badly injured. She watched her mother die in front of her when a shell tore through their apartment. Her father told me that when it happened, she just kept screaming, "Mummy's dead, Mummy's dead." Now they don't talk about it. Children, each with their own terrible stories, once filled the corridors of this hospital, being moved up and down to the basement each time the air raid sirens rang out. But after the hospital came under Russian fire last week, most were evacuated to the west. Now most of the corridors lie dark and empty, awaiting the next young victim. 3 have died here already, many more have life-changing injuries. Finally, in one corner of the darkened hospital, we find a baby, 2 months old and abandoned at birth. Named Prince Charlie, he was due to be adopted abroad, but the parents changed their minds. Now he is alone, a little life abandoned in this chaos, stuck in this hell, a little life without a family.
Again, Benjamin Hall reporting. Still ahead, situation soon to happen in space, and it's going to meet some tense times here on Earth. An American astronaut set to return home using Russian spacecraft. State Department says it's paying millions to protect 2 people who are from the Trump administration. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a former top aide of his are under 24-hour security. This after being targeted by, quote, serious and credible threats from Iran. Pompeo was automatically given 180 days of protection after leaving office, but current State Secretary Antony Blinken extended it as threats continued. The cost of the extra security is estimated at $2 million per month. An American astronaut is set to return from the International Space Station back to Earth through a Russian spacecraft later this month. This is occurring after President Biden slammed Moscow with sanctions impacting the country's space program amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos, has more.
An American on board the International Space Station is facing his biggest challenge yet. Mark Vande Hei is due to return to Earth aboard a Russian spacecraft on March 30th. There are now growing fears Russia may leave the astronaut behind after President Biden implemented sanctions on Russia following the invasion of Ukraine.
We are in communication with our Russian colleagues. There's no fuzz on that.
Russia has not responded to these claims, but they did post a video on Twitter showing Russian crew members covering the American flag on a rocket. Some say Russia is sending mixed messages to both Russians and Americans at the ISS.
We can't give the crew conflicting directions. We can't put them at odds with each other. You know, we can't tell the Americans to do one thing and the Russians are telling them to do something else.
SpaceX founder Elon Musk is stepping in and has offered to send a rocket to rescue Hay if the Russians leave him stranded. But officials at NASA are confident Hay will return home as expected. The space agency releasing a statement saying in part, quote, ongoing station operations continue. On March 30th, a Soyuz spacecraft will return as scheduled, carrying NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei.
We're not seeing any impacts to what's going on around us. We're able to do our jobs. We're aware of what's going on, but we are able to do our jobs and continue operations.
On Tuesday, Vande Hei will break Scott Kelly's record for the longest single mission aboard the International Space Station, spending 340 days in space. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Good luck getting this thing around tight corners. Gonna check out the world's longest car when we come back. The world's longest car, look at that, broke its old record, measuring now more than 100 feet long. The restored limousine, better known as the American Dream, built back in 1986, first measured 60 feet long. The iconic car ended up in a warehouse in New Jersey for several years, becoming deteriorated, as we're seeing right now. Michael Manning, the owner of the vehicle, sold it in 2019 to Michael Deser, proprietor of Deserland Park Car Museum in Florida. She's a beauty right now, isn't she? Both Manning and Deser worked in the restoration process, adding updates like a swimming pool and even a putting green. The car is going to be displayed at the Deserland Park Car Museum. Looks like a helipad right there, too. But where could you drive that thing? I mean, come on.
The Stones Corner roundabout.
The Stones Corner roundabout, Nick Kelly says. I don't think so. Perhaps just the interstate. Something to break a record with anyway, right? All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to learn about a fun activity at the Pittsburgh Public Library happening during spring break. Also, look at the efforts underway to save one-of-a-kind artifacts in Ukraine. Pittsburgh Public Library is giving kiddos a fun activity while they're on spring break. The library hosted a scavenger hunt. Organizers hid camping items throughout the library's lobby. If a child is able to find all the items, they're going to earn a prize.
I really enjoy whenever people come in to do the scavenger hunt because everyone's so excited. They're getting to explore all over the library. They're seeing places they might not have seen before, you know, when they normally just come in and go right to one area. And it lets them kind of see the library in a new light.
Scavenger hunts will continue through this Friday. You can stop by anytime during library hours to participate. Well, dogs can be more than lovely companions. A new study finds they can also help relieve pain in the emergency room. A new analysis published by the PLOS journal revealed emergency patients visited by a therapy dog had less pain. The study had more than 200 participants reporting their pain levels. In the controlled experiment, patients were divided into two groups. One group had a 10-minute visit with a therapy dog, while the other group did not. Results showed those patients who spent the 10-minute session with the dogs reported less pain afterwards than the ones who didn't. We are now averaging just over 34,000 new COVID-19 infections every day, the lowest number in 8 months. Kids, however, still being hit hard by the outbreak, leading to questions about masking and other COVID restrictions. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seary has more from Atlanta.
COVID cases are up slightly among children, and we're learning more about the impact it's having. The American Academy of Pediatrics says more than 12.7 million kids in the U.S. have tested positive. Most report mild symptoms, but many report new, unexplained symptoms after the virus has run its course, including difficulty breathing, organ inflammation, and repeated reinfection. That trend has some health officials suggesting it might be time to pause the lifting of COVID restrictions.
I am a little bit concerned about what seems to be a high hospitalization threshold for triggering implementation of community measures like masking.
But those restrictions are quickly falling by the wayside, especially in schools. Starting today, California and Seattle are dropping mask mandates for students, with most doctors saying all the indicators are in the right place.
I've been pleased with how the data has come down, and it is the right moment to transition.
But many cities and states are still recommending masks for 2 to 5-year-olds because they cannot get vaccinated, resulting in significant pushback from some parents and lawmakers.
The youngest children are the ones that shouldn't be wearing masks to begin with. It's so critical for their developmental growth.
A new CDC study shows universal masking in schools reduce COVID infection rates by up to 90% between July and December. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seary, Fox News.
A major drug company limiting its business with Russia. Pfizer says it's going to end all planned investments with Russian local suppliers. This in response, of course, to the conflict in Ukraine, but will continue to supply medicine to Russia. Medicines were excluded, by the way, from the sanctions the U.S. and its allies have placed on Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. Pfizer says it's going to refrain from starting new clinical trials or recruiting new patients in Russia, and will work on moving ongoing trials to alternative sites outside of Russia. It's going to donate all of its profits from its Russia unit to causes that provide humanitarian support to the people of Ukraine. Many Ukrainian cities are scrambling to stow away, wrap up, and fortify as many monuments and art collections as possible while the Russian invasion pushes on. Riley Carson reports from London.
With heavy canvas and fireproof padding, residents in the Ukrainian city of Lviv race to cover dozens of statues in case the Russian bombardments move west. In the port city of Odessa, where there are fears of an imminent attack, Ukrainians made high walls of sandbags to shield important statues.
Every war is a disaster, and it is a disaster for our country.
The city's famous opera house, which survived the Second World War, is now under military guard. The Kharkiv Museum, unlike many buildings in the heavily bombed city, is still standing. But it's no longer a safe place for its collections. Paintings, some famous Russian works, have been taken off the walls and will be hidden away to protect them. It's simply irony of fate that we should be saving paintings by Russian artists from their own nation, says this museum curator. How much damage has been done to the pieces won't be properly assessed until the war stops, but the destruction across Ukraine is spreading by the day. Riley Carlson, CBS News, London.
A bit later, our researchers say even moderate amounts of light when you sleep could be bad for your heart.
Dry for much of the day, still a bit mild, but we had to trend a little cooler today thanks to Mother Nature bringing in the clouds. So we're going to see how we fared over the past 36 hours. We had the mid-60s for highs to wrap up the weekend, at least from Joplin Regional's perspective, back on Sunday. Thankfully, the south wind that kept on going overnight only allows us to drop back into the upper 40s, so that made it easier for Mother Nature to send us back into the lower 60s this afternoon. That's despite all the cloud cover that was on the increase as our next, current storm system is rotating on through, but we haven't had much to speak in terms of anything coming out of the clouds during much of the day. But as we got the evening started, that's when we saw the radar come to life with just very light, very scattered showers. This is not a big system with the better moisture well to the south of us, but you can still see that for some of you, you'll have scattered showers off and on during the night, but I really think this will be done by the time the morning drive gets underway. A little bit of wet road still from 7th and Range Line. That's because of a few showers passing through earlier, but you're dry right now. 55 at the airport and downtown with an east breeze at 3. Humidity high at 80%. Most of us are in the lower to middle 50s, but you can see some upper 40s trying to pop up already around Iola and Fort Scott. We're all going to take a dip back into the upper 40s later on tonight while we have that south wind in place. That's actually going to change as a northerly wind kicks in as we get on the backside of the storm system throughout the course of the night. But the bigger picture, though, shows clearly where the action is in terms of weather. A good complex of thunderstorms rotating across eastern Texas and knocking on the Shreveport's door in northwestern Louisiana. They got the better setup for strong and severe storms down there. Well, we have just enough to keep cloud cover and some scattered showers in here with the front passing through. Same goes for the upper low. That's passing on through central parts of Kansas and central parts of Oklahoma. This is what's going to keep some scattered shower chances for some of you around during the overnight, but I still think that by the morning drive, we're pretty much done with any rain chances the system has to offer. Mostly cloudy to start the morning out. Then I do think we go at least partly sunny during the afternoon tomorrow. I'll tell you what, though, if we have a chance, and there is the chance that we clear out faster, we could go warmer than 63 tomorrow. But for now, I want to say 48 in Joplin, 57 by noon, 48, by the way, in the morning. And then we'll top out around 63. Just a lighter north breeze at 5 to 10. Looking good for tomorrow night, Wednesday morning, mostly clear, back in the 40s, and then back in the lower 70s for Wednesday, as we're back on the warmer side of the jet. We'll savor that quiet and mild Wednesday before the next storm system with Doug's pattern comes on in. It can bring in some scattered storms late on St. Patrick's Day, but the better rain chances for Thursday night going into Friday morning. And there's just the slimmest chance that enough cold air could allow for a few snowflakes to work on through as we go into Friday morning. But I'm not sold on that idea right now, so I'm thinking we're getting mainly just rain out of Thursday's and Friday's system. 63 tomorrow. Let's go 71 Wednesday and Thursday. That system on Thursday, Jordan, will drop us back into the 50s just for Friday, and then easily back into mild territory for the weekend.
Yeah, no more snow, Nick Kelly. Not even a flake.
I know, it's just like we've had our fill. Like, I want to be done with snow for a while.
Thanks so much, man. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern baseball aiming for the sweep against Central Oklahoma. Plus, Pitt State softball hitting the field for a doubleheader against Central Missouri. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas have won 6 games in a row. That includes the first 2 games of a 3-game series against the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. Pitt State tries for the sweep today in the series finale against Northwest. Now they're down 1 in the first until Garrett McGowan finds grass in right center. Caden Fowler scores to make it 1-1. In the 5th, they're back down 3-2. McGowan back to work. He had a huge day. 2-run homer here to opposite field. 11th of the season for McGowan, gives Pitt State a 4-3 lead. The Northwest gets 5 in the 6th, but again, Gorillas fight back. Caden Fowler yanks it over the wall in right with a man on. 2-run jack. Pitt State rallies to tie it up at 8 going to the 8th. In the 8th, still tied, and guess who? Garrett McGowan nearly puts another one out off the wall to score Cruz Aranda. McGowan goes 3 for 4 and drives in 5. Gorillas up 9-8. Jordan Mendenhall would finish it off on the mound. Gorillas win a good one and sweep Northwest 9-8. Missouri Southern also looking for a sweep today. Lions finish up their series on the road against Central Oklahoma. They rolled all afternoon. They win 18-7. Matt Miller goes 3 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Henry Kuziak drives in 4. Southern is right back on the field tomorrow on the road against Rogers State. The Pittsburgh State softball team opened up league play on Sunday with a doubleheader sweep over Lincoln. The Gorillas are right back on the field today, hoping to stay rolling against Central Missouri. Now they're playing 2 today in Pittsburgh. Game 1 here goes to the Jennies 6-3. Corey Stonestreet and Taylor Lambert each hit a home run. Stonestreet drives in 2. So now we go to Game 2. Pitt State trying to earn the doubleheader split. Their bats were hot after getting 5 in the first. Maddie Szymanski in the second puts it into left to score Kylie Boley. Sticking around in the second, Gabby Schultz lifts this one up to left. Scary moment here. Goes off the left fielder's glove and over the wall. So that's a home run for Schultz. But Aubrey McRoberts really smacked the wall. She would be okay though, walking off the field a few minutes later. Back to the action, Hannah Harrison. Huge strikeout with the bases loaded. That ends the top of the 6th. Harrison throws a complete game, allowing 2 unearned runs, striking out 6. Bottom of the inning, Paxton Hayes puts it in the right field corner. Taylor Lambert scores, and that's it. Gorillas bounce back to take Game 2 in a blowout, 10-2. Missouri Southern softball also at home for a doubleheader today against Lincoln. They dominated from 1 o'clock on. Game 1 goes to the Lions 11-3. Kara Amos goes 4 for 4 and drives in 3. Josie Topai gets her first home run of the season. Game 2, Ashlyn Williams goes 3 for 3 with a triple and a pair of RBIs. Southern wins a shutout to sweep the doubleheader 4-0. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Do you leave the lights or TV on when you sleep? New research suggests that's bad for your heart. Elise Preston shows us why you may want to shut the blinds when it's time for shut-eye.
We know a good night's sleep is good for our health. Now, new research suggests you should close the blinds and curtains and turn down all the lights before bed.
Do you prefer lights on or lights off?
Lights off. I just think I would sleep better that way.
A new study from Northwestern Medicine shows being exposed to even moderate light during sleep can harm cardiovascular function and increase insulin resistance, which are risk factors for heart disease, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome.
When you're sleeping with the lights on,
Your heart rate goes up during the entire night while you're sleeping. And then the next day, your glucose measurements, it showed that more insulin had to be secreted to be able to bring your glucose to a normal level.
Exposure to artificial light during sleep is common. It's estimated up to 40% of people sleep with the TV on or a bedside lamp or light on in the bedroom.
Researchers say get lots of bright light during the day. That can help protect you from some of the light that comes in during the night and improve your sleep through your circadian rhythms.
Dr. Phyllis Z is lead author of the study.
About 2 hours before you actually go to bed, start dimming it down. And then in your room, be aware of the light sources. Be aware of that and try to block that out.
Block outdoor light with blackout shades or eye masks. Keep color in mind. Red or orange light is less stimulating for the brain, so keep white or blue light away from the bed. And if you need a light in the bedroom, make it dim and close to the floor. Dr. Z says if you're able to see things really well in your bedroom, it's probably too light. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Coming up, a run through of all the entertainment coming your way this week, right here on Fox 14. Fox brings another round of competition for several series while we meet the residents of a brand new show. Here's Fox's Ashley DeVorkin with a look at what's coming up this week.
A dramatic finale, a comedic premiere. Here's what's hot on Fox.
Where do you want us?
First, Monday on 911 Lone Star, emergencies include the 126 call to a medieval-themed restaurant.
What if I could help you? I could deal with the FBI.
Then, on The Cleaning Lady, Tony tries to make a deal with Garrett while Armand doesn't trust promises by the FBI. And all families are at the center of the drama on the Season 1 finale.
She's bonded with me, so...
Tuesday kicks off with a repeat of The Resident, followed by a replay of The Masked Singer Season 7 premiere.
The good, the bad, and the cuddly.
Wednesday, it's an all-new The Masked Singer with the 4 remaining Group A singers performing again. And Domino Masters host Eric Stonestreet joining the panel. I'm so excited! That's followed by Domino Masters, where 4 teams compete in a holiday-themed tournament. Thursday starts with the premiere of MasterChef Junior and 16 young chefs from around the country taking on their first challenge. Then it's back-to-back comedy, starting with Call Me Kat.
What can I say? I like an underdog.
Then it's the premiere of the new series Welcome to Flatch, about a documentary crew in a small town full of funny stories. Friday kicks up the action of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. And mark the calendar for the following week. The iHeartRadio Music Awards are March 22nd, right here on Fox. In Hollywood, Ashley DeVorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of the outside of today's visitation for fallen Joplin police officer Ben Cooper. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.